Hello, everyone. Hello, everyone. This is Reverend Alma Dunbar Savoy, and I'm the host and creator of Abundant Living Everyday Legacy Series, which is all about sharing the stories of regular people whom God has done some extraordinary things in our lives. And we want to share those stories to encourage someone else. You know, God has done some amazing things in our lives. He's brought us through so much and so many different things. And we're just sharing those stories with you, just to encourage you that God can bring you through as well. So today we have an incredible story, another fascinating story that we're sharing. This young lady is going to be sharing her story with us today, and I'm so excited. We're going to jump right in. I'm going to have her introduce herself to us and just share a little bit about her background and, where she grew up and, what was life like for her. And so we'll get into it that way and then we'll get right into it. So, hello there.
Hello there.
Okay, we're so happy to have you sharing your story with us today. Like I said, go ahead and introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about yourself.
All right. Well, thank you for having me. I
Uh,
am Yvette Titus, the niece of the Reverend Elmer Savoy right here. I am 53-year-old woman who loves the Lord, who is a mother, a wife, a daughter, a sister, a aunt, a cousin,
wow.
all of those great titles that we come on and we say, but most of all, I am really, really, really at this place in my life, um, a daughter of the Most High,
Mm-hmm.
realizing that there is a purpose for my life. And
Mm,
it's not just those titles. It's way
mm-hmm.
bigger than what somebody out there calls me. So that's
Okay.
huge for me where I am right now. I grew up, which a lot of people find interesting. I was born in Lake Village, Arkansas,
Wow.
where all of my aunties and uncles and grandmother and grandfather on that side of the family were born. I'm one of the few grandchildren who were born, who's up here, um, in Maryland, the DMV area, who was born in Arkansas and then wind up residing here in the DMV area, which people call DC, Maryland, and Virginia. It's funny that we say that, but a lot of people don't know what the DMV area is.
Yeah. Now, so you started off in terms of your journey now, where you are now, in terms of your work and all those titles and what that means to
Hmm.
you. Can you share a little bit about your journey as to what
Hmm.
brought you to where you are now? Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I'll even say start off back, which being a little girl, I had a lot of scalp issues. My scalp was always scabs and sores. So I found myself having these little issues back then and having a praying mother, God's gonna touch you, he's gonna heal, finding holistic remedies. I mean, early on, these are things that I remember. The
Mm-hmm.
yolk of an egg in my scalp. I mean, just blisters and sores, and
Wow.
then getting you hearing this and believing like, wow, my scalp is going to get better. Then getting older and having things, as far as once I'm married, I'm told that I can't have any kids,
Wow.
and again having to go in and choosing to like, wow, I'm gonna have a child. God says we're gonna have children. But the most awesome thing about all those is I had people that agree with me. My mother
Mm-hmm.
agreed first about my scalp, my husband agreed first about, yes, we're having a child, and then
Mm-hmm.
having other people pray and agree. It didn't mean that I always believed even when they believed, but it
Mm-hmm.
was good that when my faith wasn't strong, other people had faith for me, and that was so awesome. Like, okay, you're gonna do it. You're gonna make it through.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Before I got married, had in my late mid-20s, my mom became really sick with leukemia, trusting and believing that God was gonna deliver her from that. That
Mm-hmm.
was the area where I came into this place of I'm gonna pray, I'm gonna trust God,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm not gonna go back and keep asking over and over. He's gonna
Mm-hmm.
do it, and whatever he's gonna do, I have to accept his will. And that was crucial for me because I'm one of them people, they say, pray and God's going to do it. And if it doesn't go my way the way I thought, I was really afraid of my relationship fracturing with the Lord. So I
Mm-hmm.
was like, God, you know how I am. I'm
Mm-hmm.
going to believe you. But if my mother isn't going to survive, help me, help my heart. Let me know that, but let me accept your will. So
Mm-hmm.
that's how, in the trenches of a lot of things that got me to where I am today, with how people see me move around with a lot of things that I've experienced. Like I said, from my own illnesses to not having kids to, and it'll go up and down, having to believe for my own children, having to believe for other family members, then it'll turn right back around to me. It'll be something.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Now you talked about your illnesses. Can
Hmm.
you just share a little bit of more about how you're dealing with that and at this time?
Yeah. Um, Again, I believe the biggest word for me is to remember. Remember what God has done. So if you
Mm-hmm.
weren't able to have kids and you have two children that you birth now, God can do anything.
That's
And
amazing.
even in those pregnancies, there was challenges, there was high risk. I even lost a child before the first two. So I want people to understand it. It's not this pretty Disney story where I
Mm-hmm.
prayed and it just all went, There
Mm-hmm.
I had to keep holding on to what God said. Then
Mm-hmm.
in about 2016, I started becoming really ill, migraines, vertigo, really ill. 2017, I wound up having a stroke, couldn't move the left side of my body, became bedridden for about 6 months. Um, to the point where I could not remember if I was in a sentence. I couldn't tell you my last name. I didn't know my social security number. I could be
Yeah.
driving down the street and would forget where I'm going, like just in the middle of the road, like where am I going and where did I come from? So some really scary moments. And again, making it fast, being told by doctors it was anxiety, nothing was wrong with me. I really want to impress on people to advocate for themselves, find
Mm-hmm.
people that believe you, even if they don't know what to do. It is so important to have medical people that believe what you're saying.
Mm-hmm.
So I would fire a doctor quick. I'd be like,
Mm-hmm.
thank you. There's
Mm-hmm.
more out there, and I would go to somebody else because I
Mm-hmm.
just wasn't getting the answers. So once
Mm-hmm.
I had that stroke, people became a little more um something has to be going on. I had pericarditis, which is fluid around the heart. I dealt with that for 4.5 years.
Mm-hmm.
um I had nurses come in and out of my house 3 days a week, a pick line for 16 hours a day. I was on an IV line with antibiotics for 10 months. I named that, and people say, how do you get through that? I have a dry sense of humor. I'm funny when I'm not trying to be funny. So I had an IV pole and I named her Missy. And I was like, get my IV, get Missy, and let me roll around. Like finding things that could lift me up when they were really low.
Mm-hmm.
Learning, and also not trying to get back what I lost. I remember sitting in the house one day and looking at a picture, and a good friend of mine back then, she was like, you have to stop looking at the old pictures of yourself. You're
Mm-hmm.
never going to get back to that. You have to
Mm-hmm.
start looking at where you're going. And I
Mm-hmm.
didn't want to accept it. I'm like, no, I'm believing God. I'm going to get where I was. And God
Mm-hmm.
dealt with me. And he was like, well, what if I have better for you and you're trying to get something that wasn't as great as you thought?
Mm-hmm.
So I
Mm-hmm.
literally had to grieve. I almost had like a service, like, okay, I have to let the old Yvette die, the way I used to do things, how I
Mm-hmm.
used to just get up and go. And
Mm-hmm.
now I have to schedule my day. If you ask me to come to church Sunday, then that means I'm not going to probably be able to do anything Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Then I can
Mm-hmm.
do something on Thursday. And that's how I started really being able to get my life back the way that it's supposed to be for me to stay on track.
So, what were the things that helped you during those times uh, manage and go through? What were some of the things that really helped you?
God really sent people that I didn't know, but other people had told. Yvette have Lyme disease. Yvette has Lyme disease. This one lady, her name is Kathy, and she gave me this. Okay, I don't know if it's all of us, but I know me being a strong black woman, whatever that's supposed to mean, that's another thing. That I
Mm-hmm.
was pushed through everything. I would get up in the morning, and I'm supposed to be able to get the kids dressed, and then by the end of the day, I can't do
Mhm.
anything. I'm sick.
Mhm.
She said,
Mhm.
wake up in the morning, rate yourself 1 to 10 how you feel mentally. Rate yourself
Mhm.
1 to 10 how your body feels.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
so she said, and I'm thinking if it's not a 10, then I can go. She said, if anything is over a 5, it means
Mhm.
you can't do anything. So
Okay.
I would sit up, and the first thing I would do is, how am I mentally this morning? What is
Mhm.
my body saying this morning?
Mhm. Mhm.
And then that started helping me because I didn't have a guideline. I
Mhm.
thought that if I woke up, I gave God, thank you, God, for waking me up, then I'm supposed to plow through the day.
Mhm.
I'm supposed to
Mhm.
try to muster it up and go
Right.
through the day. And
Right.
I realized I was also teaching that to my children. Perfect attendance. So what, you sick, you got a little sniffle, you're not contagious, go to work. I
Mhm.
had that mentality. I was still going, I used to work for hospice in Charles County. I was still going in dealing with vertigo, everything's spinning all the way to work. I mean,
Mhm.
things I pushed through that I just should have said, I can't come in.
Mhm. Mhm.
And that started giving me, that was the first thing, started rating my day,
Mhm.
mentally,
Mhm.
emotionally, and physically.
Mhm. Mhm.
Anything
Mhm.
over a 5 meant don't do anything. And
Okay.
that could be challenging for people like, well, how do I work? How do I eat? How do I get paid? We have to really think about those things because if you keep pressing yourself, you're not going to have a job anyway. Do I
Mhm.
need to
Mhm.
look to downsize? What do I need to do? Do I need to ask for family help? Like it made me really, really, and I went through, I act like I was okay for a lot of things. And I would
Mhm.
end up in the emergency room every other night. Then it went to every night in a
Mhm.
week. And
Mhm.
and I thought that was normal. Well, okay, at least they not admitting me. And it's like, no, you shouldn't be okay with going to the emergency room because you
Yeah.
pushed yourself.
Yeah. Yeah. Can you talk a little bit about it this time? What role your faith,
Mm.
is playing in your persevering and, managing to go through all of this?
Oh, and then I did just hear that what I did have for people who don't know, I had Lyme disease, and
Okay.
that
Mm-hmm.
was what it turned out to be, and it could be a very hard diagnosis. How my faith played, but right before I got the diagnosis of pericarditis. Right before I had the stroke, God literally told me, "Whatever's get ready to come to you, it's not until death." And people are like, God told you that. I remember clearly hearing, "This is not until death." I didn't know what that meant. I had
Mm-hmm.
just
Mm-hmm.
pericarditis. I'm going around shortness of breath, elevated heart rate. They're calling me, my doctor saying you can't go back to work. And I'm like, okay, I mean, I know it can't. It's not going to get
Mm-hmm.
any worse than
Right.
this.
Right.
And then, I mean, it just went downhill. And I had to keep holding on to whatever that he gives you. If that's
Mm-hmm.
holding on and it happens sometimes that I want to see my kids graduate. If it's
Mm-hmm.
holding on, that is things that God is, I believe, give you to hold on because people can give up.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And so it was holding on that this is not until death. Now, I didn't even say 3 times in all of that, I was told to take me home and I wouldn't survive. There was nothing else they could do for me. So I'm in the hospital. It's nothing else we can do for her. Take her home, make her comfortable. And I had to hold on to this is not until death. And one of
Mm-hmm.
the things was if you believe, all things are possible. Everything is possible for those who believe. And I
Mm-hmm.
just had to keep believing. What am I believing? I'm believing that I'm not going to go to the hospital. I'm believing that I'm not going to die. I'm believing when I go to the hospital, there ain't going to be no negative news. Okay, they gave
Mm-hmm.
me negative news. I'm believing the negative news ain't going to be for long. Like I had
Mm-hmm.
to keep training my brain to
Mm-hmm.
find something to hold on to. Even
Mm-hmm.
when my husband and mother, it's going to be okay. I'm like, every time I go, there's some bad news. Like I was really going through, but
Mm-hmm.
other people were holding on for me when I couldn't for myself. So
Mm-hmm.
having a really good support system, and I didn't even, and honestly, sometimes I took them for granted. I didn't even see them as support because I didn't allow them to support.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I would wait till they go to sleep and literally crawl up the steps so nobody would know that I physically couldn't walk up the steps because I just
Mm-hmm.
didn't want to be a burden. I wanted to do the best I can. And
Mm-hmm.
a lot of that, I believe God was breaking me down to know what it
Right.
is to really be humble and ask for help.
Hmm. So at this point, what advice would you give to someone who's grappling with, a disease, chronic illness, or something like that? What advice would you give to them at this point?
Be honest about where you are.
Uh-huh.
And what I mean by that is totally, of course, we get tired of having pain all day. You feel as though people are tired of hearing about you're not feeling well. And if somebody asks you how you're doing today, be honest.
Uh-huh.
Today is not the best, but I'm glad to be
Uh-huh.
alive. People always say to me, "It's good to see you." I say, "It's good to be seen," and that
Uh-huh.
catches people off. I really mean that. It's good to be seen. There was days where I couldn't get out. Like, I'm way more vocal about what's going on because it takes it from resting on me, and I'm
Uh-huh.
able to put. Now, if the person doesn't respond, but fine, somebody else will.
Uh-huh.
Everybody is not going to be there for you. It may not. Sometimes my husband in the beginning didn't understand. Before
Uh-huh.
we had diagnosis, I could be up talking on the phone, cooking, and the next thing I'm laying on the bed. I'm on
Uh-huh.
the floor. I can't finish the meal. It's like, you was just fine. I couldn't explain it. The doctors was telling him nothing was going on. There could be
Uh-huh.
moments where you feel so alone, but you
Uh-huh.
have to keep speaking positive to yourself. And when you can't speak positive because it's just so
Uh-huh.
dark, be
Uh-huh.
real about what's going on. Hey, I'm in a dark place. I'm
Uh-huh.
not doing well mentally, so
Uh-huh.
that people can really hear where you are. Be honest about where you are. Find one person who
Uh-huh.
you can talk to no matter what, even if you're repeating, I'm having this headache, this headache, this headache, that they will be there for you. And sometimes
Uh-huh.
you have to give that person a rest and give some, because other people have things going on in their life. And
Uh-huh.
I want people to realize that, well, so and so didn't call me. God gave me a long time ago. He was like, after 2 weeks, people get tired. People get tired of checking on you. They got their own life. So you might need another group for 2 weeks and then rotate back. Realize people have lives too. And it's
Right.
not that they don't want to help you. They don't want, it's just
Uh-huh.
that we get
Uh-huh.
caught up in our lives. Give
Uh-huh.
other people grace, even while
Okay.
you're going through.
Okay. So if you could speak directly to someone who's watching your story and listening to you and saying, wow, this young lady, dealing with all these health challenges,
Mhm.
Lyme disease and all of this, and, struggling with what would you say to them?
I would say don't give up. What is
Uh-huh.
the thing in your heart that you always know that you're supposed to do that you said, not me?
Uh-huh.
It's people already doing that. It's
Uh-huh.
too many. I'm too sick. When I held on to, I was always supposed to speak to women. I was always supposed to encourage women. And I
Uh-huh.
started doing that from my bed. I started
Uh-huh.
doing that when I couldn't talk, and I would text and encourage other people when I was in the hospital.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
I went back to what originally God said I was supposed to, and that was be helper of women.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
That is what started helping me. It wasn't looking at myself, and that even opened me up to better doctors and not
Uh-huh.
going in trying to fight everybody. I
Uh-huh.
stopped fighting the people who were supposed to help me. I would just say, hey, you're saying it's not this. So what is it? If you're
Uh-huh.
not going to give me this test, what test are you going to do?
Uh-huh.
And just really relinquishing that part to them and doing
Uh-huh.
what I can do. Somebody gave me, Jacqueline, a friend of mine said, do what you can and God will do what you can't. And that
Uh-huh.
just became a game changer. I can
Uh-huh.
text somebody, God can heal me.
Uh-huh.
I can
Uh-huh.
tell the doctor what's going on with me. He's the
Uh-huh.
one that got to give me the answer.
Okay. Okay. So you mentioned this ministry of helping
Mhm.
other women. Can you share a little bit about how now you are maybe have expanded that or are working with that ministry?
Yeah, reluctantly, because again, I'm about being honest and transparent. I really started with all kind of businesses, and it just kept dealing with women, women, women. And
Uh-huh.
I said, "Oh, God, I don't want to deal with women. I don't like women." And it was like, "Well, you're a woman yourself," and I was like, "Oh yeah, that's right." So I had to start loving me, believing in me, and then
Okay.
God had me do what's called unleash your inner power. There's something within us that God gave us that will just, whenever you are sad, you can tap into that and it would just give you, because it's your inner power.
Uh-huh.
And I started 90-minute sessions. I've done 4 of those over the last 4 months. and then it ends with a mentoring 6-month mentoring program. So God gave me that to deal with women so that they can have a safe space, number one, to be able to be just women. They can take the titles off. I wanted to just be a woman who was hurting, who had children. I wanted to be a woman who was scared, even though I was a Christian and I was a wife. I just needed a place where I could be and women were loving on me. And that's what God has me to create.
Okay. Okay. If you could speak to that woman
Hmm.
who, they're not able to get to, a session or whatever, is there a word or a scripture or something that you could
Mm.
give a woman, that's and let's say we're talking especially to women, or persons who dealing with health challenges, because it is so prevalent. We have so many health issues, now. What word or something specific you could give? uh
Definitely
mhm.
would be, as far as the scripture, would be Mark 9:23. And it starts, if you can. So if you can, said Jesus, everything is possible for the one who believes. So first, the if, you have to believe.
That's so good.
And that if is what gets us. And
Right.
and guess what? That's for anyone. Somebody might be like, well, she's talking all this and I'm not a Christian yet or whatever.
Yeah.
That is, if you can believe,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
then you can hold on. Believe that you're going to get help.
Mm-hmm.
Believe that God's going to put people in your life. Just hold on. Remove the if it can and do if I believe.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And so to
Mm-hmm.
me, that's so powerful. What is your if? If it
Mm-hmm.
happens, no. If it gets what? I'm
Mm-hmm.
going to remove the if and be like, I am going to be. I
Mm-hmm.
am going to be successful. I am going to be healed. I am going to be whole. My
Mm-hmm.
relationship with God is going to become strong. So
Mm-hmm.
God just said, believe,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
believe. And that, again, that sounds, oh, that sounds cute. And it takes work, because the other
It
part of
does.
it to me is
Yeah.
like, don't be just a hearer of the word. We have to
Right.
be a doer. So
Mm-hmm.
how do I believe? Speak it every day.
Mm-hmm.
I'm
Mm-hmm.
well. What does well look like to you? Well
That's
looks like
good.
that I can walk to the bathroom today.
That's good.
You
Mm-hmm.
know, then
Mm-hmm.
I'm well today. What does well look like tomorrow? I can make it downstairs.
Mm-hmm.
Well looks
Mm-hmm.
like I can call my doctor's appointment. Because sometimes we lay in that bed and we don't even, depression comes in, sadness, disappointment. God forgot me that we
Mm-hmm.
don't make the phone calls. We
Mm-hmm.
don't do, and then you're hurting. Pain can make you stop doing a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
know about pain. I
Yeah.
know about pain.
Mm-hmm.
So I just started saying, you know what? I'm not going to have no body aches for an hour.
Right.
And in that
Right.
hour, I'm make my doctor's call. And people are like, well, you should have said the whole day. I did what I could for where I was.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Um, when you look back on your journey,
Mm,
through God's grace, what are you most proud of?
I didn't give up.
Okay.
I
Mm-hmm.
did not give up. And there
Mm-hmm.
was a point where I just cried. And I remember saying, I can't do this anymore. I
Mm-hmm.
remember the last time the doctors came in with my son and my husband in the hospital room and said, there is nothing else we can do. And
Mm-hmm.
it was probably the lowest point, because I'm like, God, it's been going on for years.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I'm at 5, 6 years now. God, I mean, I thought you was I was believing you.
Right. Right.
And I just was ready to give up. And my husband
Mm-hmm.
was like, this is not until death. Guess what he did? He brought back the original word God told me,
Right. Right.
that God
Right.
said, and that is what I had on that little mustard seed faith.
Right.
And I
Right.
want to say,
Mm-hmm.
this is something God really dealt with me with. People think, well, I thought that the Bible said we had mustard seed. We have.
Mm-hmm.
That's
Mm-hmm.
not what the word says. It says, because you don't believe, if you can have, if, there go
Right.
the if again,
Right. Right.
mustard seed. So really, I can have a quarter size
Yeah.
faith if I believe.
Yeah.
Mustard seed can move a mountain. What could a quarter-sized faith do?
Wow.
So
Okay.
I started getting out of the mustard seed. I don't want mustard seed faith anymore.
Mm-hmm.
I
Mm-hmm.
don't want
Yeah.
mustard seed faith. I
Right.
don't. I'ma speak where the mountain ain't even gonna come. And
Mm-hmm.
that was but it took me to go to the lowest. And I
Mm-hmm.
would say, don't be afraid of the lowest, because that's usually where he builds you up.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay. Okay. So, what legacy, do you hope to leave? When you speak through your work, through your ministry, and even in your personal story.
That women will honestly be authentic about where they are, look inside themselves, and be
Mm-hmm.
okay to be where they are and be okay to get help. And
Mm-hmm.
I'll stress help. I have a counselor who's a Christian counselor. I
Mm-hmm.
have family. I have a medical doctor. I have children. And when I say help, there is a team of people that I'm not just putting all my trust in one person. The only one person that could be is God. So the legacy is believing that God's going to do it and trusting that He'll give you a group of people that'll
Mm-hmm.
help you do it.
Okay. Okay. What is the most important thing that people should know about you?
Mm. That I'm going to say what God gives me to say. And I'm going to say it because,
You're putting
um,
that out there already, right?
yes, I'm going to say what God gives me to say. And because I know from an early age, God told me that I was never to be on offense. I was going to be on defense.
Okay.
I, Before I was born, I was in a fight. Me and my mom almost died before I got here. So
Mm-hmm.
the enemy was after me from the beginning. So I
Mm-hmm.
was never supposed to come here to tiptoe and be afraid,
Mm-hmm.
because
Mm-hmm.
there was a fight from the beginning. So
Mm-hmm.
when you
Mm-hmm.
see a fight in me, it's not against you. I'm usually fighting the thing that I see in you that's trying to hinder you.
Okay. Okay. That is so good. Yvette, when you prayerfully think about what impact do you think, or would you like your for your story to have on
Hmm.
those that are hearing it?
Don't give up.
Okay.
There is so much that you haven't seen yet. There is
Mm-hmm.
so much in
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
going through, and to realize that there is green pasture, that He will have you to truly lie down in green pasture, even when everything else is going on.
Mm-hmm.
Because the
Mm-hmm.
joy of the Lord is just that, the
Amen.
joy, the
Yeah.
joy. That's when you got an IV in your arm, you can be joyful.
My.
So I really, to no matter what you see, remember
Mm-hmm.
what God says.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay, and so I don't know. I always end with this, and I don't know if there's something you would like to add to it, but the last question is, what would you like for your legacy to be?
Um, like I said, most people, I think they think of leaving things. My
Mm-hmm.
legacy would be to have people have an authentic, they just, when they think of me, when they remember me, I want to have an authentic relationship with God like she had.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Now, say a little bit more about that. Can you expand on that? An authentic relationship. What?
Yes.
Okay.
That means that no matter what I'm going through, I can be real with God. God, I'm not praying to you
Okay. Okay.
because
So,
no,
okay.
and not, I'm not afraid of God. I tell people like, I'm scared, I'm mad.
Yeah.
God ain't scared of your emotions. God is
Okay.
not scared. So when you see me be like, they be like, well, have you prayed about it? I did. Well, are you praying about it? No, I already got my authentic relationship with God is I pray He's gonna do it and I'm okay with it. However
Okay.
He do it. And I just want people to be okay in their authentic relationship. Be real about I'm mad, I'm scared, I'm sad. Because guess what? Whatever's in you, you
Mm-hmm.
already know. So why not just be honest about it?
Right. Okay, very good, very good. Well, this has been an incredible story. I'm prayerfully, we would like to at some point maybe part 2, come back and talk more about your ministry with women. It is such a needed area. Just helping women. But today, thank you so much, Nisi.
Thank you, Auntie Al.
Yvette, for just sharing your incredible story with us on today. Well, ladies and gentlemen, there you have it. Another incredible story from Abundant Living Everyday Legacy series from Yvette Titus. Is it Denise? Yvette?
Yep.
Denise Titus, sorry, that really goes back a lot.
Yes.
Yvette Denise Titus sharing her story on Abundant Living Everyday Legacy Series, where we're sharing stories of sharing amazing stories of what God can do in your life. Regular people, no one, maybe we're not going to be in a movie, we're not a movie star, but God has done some amazing things in our lives. Young lady dealing with all kinds of disease, chronic illnesses, but God has brought her through and she was sharing her story with us on today. Thank you so much, Yvette, for sharing your story with us on Abundant Living Every Day. And as the curtain falls on today's story, and until the next fascinating legacy story, remember there's a story in each and every one of you. And we really want to share and get these incredible stories out. So please go to my website, Abundant Living Everyday Legacies, Abundant Living Everyday Legacy, all one word.com. There you'll find all the stories, but you'll be able to connect with me so that you can maybe even share your story on Abundant Living Everyday Legacy. Sharing stories of regular people whom God has done some extraordinary things in our lives. Thank you again, Yvette, for sharing your story with us. That's it for today's story, everyone. God bless.
God bless.